Pay your people better. June 22nd, 2026. Already eaten one of those potatoes. Every time. Every single time. I'm in the middle of watching the newest Phil DeFranco video. And it got me thinking about like his competitiveness. Also, I've purchased, and I haven't cleaned any fucking thing because I'm super lazy, but I purchased these Mission Carb Balance tortillas. I don't know why. Like, why is the seal at the bottom of the bag? That makes no sense. And then I put the because it's a 2-pack, so that pack has an individually wrapped set of 8, and so I opened one set of 8 here, put them in that. So I've been watching Phil's newest video on for Monday today, and it got me thinking about like him being competitive to win this like $1 million thing, and you know the ability to give out, like he said he's going to give out like 25 grand to 40 different people, which is cool and all. And if I won that, that'd be great. I highly doubt it would happen, but you know, whatever. Anyway, and like you can't. And based on some of the stuff that I'd seen from his last live, it's like he's trying to do everything possible to not even be involved in it. So like you can't send him like sob stories and stuff. And I'm like, that's even better. That's the smart way to do it. Like try to be using as much random.org as possible. But I started thinking about like the way that I approach things, and you know, like how competitive I can be. Like, so for instance, I'm still playing some of the Ascension World of Warcraft. Recently, I've sort of re-prestiged, as it is, so you reset down to level 1. And if you do it at level 70, you get like a box for level 70 gear, but you can't use it until you reach level 70 again. And, you know, just goofing off with that or whatever. But I also do some of the PvP, because that's kind of, in a way, one of the easier ways to get a full set of gear in a short period of time. It probably takes about, I don't know, if you're super unlucky, it could take anywhere between like 8 and 12 hours, and that's usually about how long it took me. I'm also very bad, but I'm also, like, I'm competitive, but in the sense of this should be easier, because I want everything to be easy for me. And I'm thinking, oh, well, this build that I have should be effective, and it's not, and then I get wrecked and all this stuff, and I'm just like, and I get angry and shit, and I'm just like, how the fuck are they doing that? And I'm like trying to look at like builds and stuff, and I'm just like, how is this working? And so the point that I'm getting across is like, if I was to ever be on the Beast games, I'd lose flat out. The problem I have is that I get too angry when I'm in competitive mode. And one of the things that I have said about myself, and I think it's true, I'm more competitive with myself than I am with others, because when I do get into competitions with others, that's when I actually become a ball of rage and salt, and it's like, that's not healthy. So like one of the things that I did was I wanted to see how fast I could get to level 70. I wasn't competing against anybody else. I was essentially speedrunning, but I'm not a speedrunner, by the way. That's rough. But I was kind of playing speedrunner mode, and I was doing it more with myself, with the tools that were available. And it took me approximately, I think it was 22 hours to get just solo. You know, like no groups, nothing like that, because apparently there are groups that are available that make it to where you can get to level 70 in like a couple hours. And so I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting, but I'm not doing that. Competing against myself is the thing that I typically like to do, but I also don't do it in like the real world. When it comes to the real world, I'm even more detached from the idea of competition. Like, looking at like the World Cup right now, I like the idea that there's all this camaraderie and stuff, and like I was watching the Trevor Noah watch parties, which were great because it has this like very fun behind the scenes look to it, and it almost has like the Office type of visual approach. Multicam operation, just like any kind of sitcom might do. Very well produced for something that is just people watching sports. But whoever has decided to do this and made it happen, very smart decision on their part. I don't know if Trevor Noah is that idea man behind it or what, but who knows. And the cool thing about being the idea man is if you have the resources in the network, you're solid. And so you can get it happening and then make more money off of it. And he's getting sponsorships and shit. And, ads are running on the YouTube videos as long as you're not using an ad blocker like me. And I'm like, I know one of the main reasons why I do not succeed in this world is because I am essentially non-competitive. Like, you have to be competitive at some scale in order to win in this world. And I know this is like old thinking too. Like, I'm sure there are people out there who probably don't think like that, who probably think I'm not competitive, blah blah blah, I'm just doing X, Y, and Z and they're succeeding or whatever. But I'm gonna say those are probably the rare cases, not the typical ones. I'm one of those people who sucks at being complacent, but falls into it easily. It's very easy for me to fall into complacency, but I'm also bad at it when I'm in it. There are people out there who, like an old friend of mine, and I was like measuring the time between, I was trying to figure out, like I was finally taking a shower last night because the water was normal, which sucks. But I was in the shower and I was thinking about how long I had been with my friends before I had left and came to LA and then, essentially disconnected and everything. One of them was like 14 years and one of them was like 11 and a half years. And the one that I knew from 11 and a half years, he's one of those guys who likes complacency. He likes being told what to do. And, there were even things that he would mention about, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but he liked the idea of serving to others, being in a position of servitude. And I was like, okay, I don't like that idea. And I've been in leadership positions and leadership roles, and I like them. The problem is I don't actively search for them. Like, I don't make effort to look for them. I would say that when I was at the radio station, and it could be just because I was older and people looked towards the older guy more, I don't know. I looked at everybody else who was, anywhere between like 4 and 8 and 10 years younger than me as peers. And I'm sure in a way that made me look immature to some people. But I always looked to everybody that I was working with as a peer. And that's one of the hard things about just general workaday world is it's one thing to understand the role of somebody who might be in a position that is superior. It's another thing to treat them as such. And I don't like treating people as my superior. I don't like looking to them as a superior because then it causes me to have anxiety around that dynamic. Like when I recognize that this person has power over me and I can't somehow connect on that human to human, peer to peer relationship, then there's so much anxiety that I have in association with them. It's one of the reasons why I actually have a hard time when it comes to women I'm attracted to. If I find that person immediately attractive, they are very physically just beautiful, my brain has already switched over to power dynamic mode. And so I'm now in a position where they have something that I don't even know if it's necessarily that I want per se. It's more like they have control over me somehow, which is weird, and I need to think about that too. And that's part of the problem why, you know, so many guys have, you know, difficulty with relationships, and they're like, well, why is it so hard to pick up on women? And it's like, well, one, why are you talking about it like that? The way that you're thinking about it is problematic. And then on top of it, you're not treating them as an equal. They're just as fucking weird as you. They have, and this is also another aspect of society where we often will hide our weirdnesses. Now, some people are a little bit more outward, a little bit more superficial with their weirdnesses. You know, like, I think that's one of the reasons why, like, you know, the big titty goth girlfriend trope is such a thing, because it's like, oh, this person's weirdness is out on the surface, and so I don't have to necessarily dig really hard to find out about that. And they probably have some level of pride behind that look. There was a woman I knew via acting classes in some capacity or another, and she saw right through me, but I was attracted to her. She would, like, go to the store and buy bones and shit. I'm like, what? You know, for decorative purposes. And some people be like, that's fucked up, man. You know, that's serial killer vibes. And that's also part of the problem is like, when you do stuff like that, people start to jump to those conclusions. And I'm like, that's weird. I want to know more. But I wanted to know more because I wanted to get in pants. And that's also part of the problem. I wasn't approaching her like a friend that I could then, you know, maybe something could grow from that. But whatever, you know, I generally don't have a hard time with women. I've had multiple relationships, all of which came relatively easy with me. It's just because we were able to connect. But the ones where I'm like, oh my God, I just want to get in her fucking pants, you know, those never happened. It never happened because I can't do that. I am not that person. So, you drink. Already had my coffee. It's almost 4. I'm finally back to my normal waking hours. Post noon. And then I have physical therapy later. I've been good. Generally speaking, I've been good when it comes to, like, day-to-day works. I only have one day off. Saturday. I was playing WoW Ascension all day. Sticking around. Trying to level up to 70 as fast as I could. As fast as I could, because I fucked up an in-game mechanic that, you know, like, didn't net me what I was looking for. So I was just like, alright, let's just do this instead. And so now I've reset back to level 1 again, and, you know, going through the process. So what I'm hoping, so while I haven't been doing the sync squats as much as at all, I haven't been doing them at all. I'm doing them at the physical therapy office. I'm gonna need to start doing them more, but right now, the thing that I've had to force myself to do, and I think it was because I just didn't do them that one day and I didn't go downstairs. Like, I didn't do any exercises on Saturday at all. Friday I had gone to the store and I walked around quite a bit and I was like, I'm done with it. I still did the various stretches that I have to do on the floor. So, floor and elliptical. Basically, those are the two things that I really need to make sure that I'm doing, is the floor and the elliptical. So, I did the floor on Friday. Obviously, the day before was Thursday, so I'd gone to physical therapy. Saturday, I didn't do anything at all, but then yesterday, Sunday, I did do both the floor and the elliptical, and I did some weight stuff. And then I even still went to the store. Which was a bit surprising, and then I finally showered. I was hoping to do my laundry, but it just didn't happen. Didn't have the spoons for it, so to speak. There's a whole thing about the spoons. And, like, I don't look at my life, I don't look at the day-to-day as, like, a competition towards myself or anything like I do with, like, the video game, for instance. And I don't really know how to break all that down to make sense of it. I just know I was thinking about it, and I'm trying to think more about it and make sense of it all. Because I was like, I would never, even if you put me, unless the only way, and again, I think this is kind of the nature of myself. If each of the competitions was specifically things that you had to do, and you had to do right. Like, for me, completion is more important than speed. But if I can speed it, then that's cool. Like, every day, I do the little zip thing on the LinkedIn app. It's literally the only fucking thing I do in LinkedIn. And I do it every morning when I wake up. It's the first thing I fucking do. Sometimes it's something I'll do while I'm still up, because I might be up at like 4:30 or whatever when it pops. But that just hadn't happened in the last couple of weeks because I've been waking up before noon for the most part. But I'll get up, or I'll have been getting up at like 8 p.m. because like my schedule's all kinds of fucked up after I got sick. But like that's the only thing that I'll do. And I do try to do it fast. I try to do it as fast as possible, but I also try to do it in my head before I even start. Now, sometimes I can just see it right then and there. I can just see it immediately. I'm like, okay, boom, whatever. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to have to fucking do this. I got to start. Because I want to be fast. Because every time, even though I try not to see the number and like the average number, there's sometimes I'm just like, fuck it, I'm going to make the average number higher than possible. And I'll just take my fucking sweet time. Like, there's a switch on it that go, it's like, I want to be faster than the average, and I usually am. Sometimes I'll hit exactly the average, especially on the quicker, easier ones. And so there is a little bit of competitiveness in me, and it's mostly towards myself. If I find myself getting put at a disadvantage, then my competitive nature switches, which is really weird. It no longer becomes an attempt at winning. So, like, let's look at it. Soccer, for instance. I've heard multiple different versions now of the same idea across different persons about the idea of soccer, where there's generally two types of soccer players or soccer teams or coaches or what have you. But the idea, there's basically two types of people in the realm of soccer. It's those who are trying to win and those who are trying not to lose. Okay, which I think is interesting, because I think that's a pretty common competitive marker across a lot of people. In the world of competition, those are the things. And I mean, you could even, break it down to those like weird old type A, type B crap, whatever. It's because we're pattern recognizers, and so we start looking at things and making sense of them, and we always categorize because it makes things easier for us. It breaks things down into simple, I understand now type things. That's why we have horoscopes and the 12 different fucking signs for each east and west. So we now actually have 24, which is why I spent 2 years, I think the first year of my life I spent just trying to understand the zodiac of both east and west, and then the last year was trying to find, fruitlessly, mind you, a way to, information that helped to combine them. And there was only like one author that would actually try to combine them, and it was just too horoscopy, and it just didn't work out. And then I read the thing about Carl Sagan, of Carl Sagan talking about, the obstetrician having greater mass than Mars, thus having a greater influence on you. And I'm like, that just throws the whole fucking thing out. I'm throwing the baby out with the bathwater in the process. Fuck it. But I guess the reason that makes sense is because, again, we like to compartmentalize. We like to categorize. And I'm mostly the person who wants to win, and so I try my best to do the things that are necessary to win. But if I know I'm going to lose, I start to transition. There is a point where I transition through the person who is trying to not lose to the person who is trying to actively impede the other people to the best of my ability in a way that is in an offensive mode. I was going to say offensive, and anyway, but like almost as if I've literally switched and turned right around, but now I'm like, I don't know, fucking, so like there's the proton, neutron, electron, right? And antimatter has the anti-versions of those, and the anti-electron, I can't remember what it is. I have to look it up. But, fuck it, I'm going to go and look it up anyway. Positron. The positron. I essentially become the positron. So, just to use it as a kind of analogy. So the electron is part of the whole of the force that is, we are trying to win. And then I basically switch and become antimatter, and like, I will do everything in my power to blow you the fuck up. It's very strange. Like, if I start playing chess and I feel like I'm cornered, I stop trying to win and I start trying to take all your pieces. I don't try to win anymore. I just try to take your pieces. I will actually do that as well. Like, if I feel like I can't truly win, then I will simply cripple you to the best of my ability. I will just do everything in my power to prevent you. Which I guess you could say is the person who's trying not to lose. I don't know. But the way that I'm seeing it is it's more of an active, aggressive, offensive approach versus a more, I guess, subdued, hey, let's just not let them have the ball. Let's still play nice. It's like, no. I'm going on the offensive. So, like, if it were soccer, for instance, it'd be like, okay, let's rip their fucking kneecaps off. Like, I know this is a problem, by the way. I know this is a problem. So, like, if I were in a real life, let's say, military form, it could be problematic. Because now, and I can see why a lot of people commit crimes while they're in the military, because they're doing things they're not supposed to do, which is basically what I'd be trying to do. Which is, okay, we can't win this. Let's just fuck them up in every way possible. Let's do all of the things necessary to ruin them. And I start getting creative, and it's weird, and it's kind of scary. I'm good at problem solving, especially when I have few options. And that's also the other thing that I find interesting, too, is like, when I have fewer options, I'm more creative. Like right now that I have to clean all my dishes, essentially, I still haven't. I've just used a paper plate. But like, I have less than $6 on my EBT card, so I have enough for basically a gallon of milk. And that's pretty much all I'm going to buy the next time, I'm probably not even going to buy any milk, actually, until the 4th. We'll see. But, like, I already know that basically my general dinner food situation, it's not limited, really. I've got a lot of beans. I went to the store and bought some more beans. I still have, like, these Kirkland brand nut clusters. I still have quite a bit of the mixed nuts that are in here. I still have some of the macadamia. Those are the things that are the most expensive. Still popcorn. I've got bread that I still haven't fucked with. I mean, I did actually sort of re-knead it and everything, but I think it's pretty much dead. Like, all the yeast is probably dead at this point. But, it's like I have options. But I also know that my options are going to be pretty limited in the coming months, especially because then I'm going to be going to Iceland. And so, like, kind of like when I left for the last eclipse, I ate everything out of the house to the best of my ability, and then on the last few days, all I ate was fucking trail mix. That's literally the only thing that I ate for like 3 days before going, if not longer than that. Because I was like, I need at least something. And then when I went to New York, I went to the nearest grocery store, which was about an hour, a half an hour walk from where I was at. And I bought more trail mix. I also bought some like hot dogs and stuff because I was just like, I want something else. But like, because I know all I had was food stamps at the time. Really, I did eat a little bit of McDonald's, but for the most part, I didn't have that much going for me. And so, like, I know I can make I know I can work with little. And I wish, like, to kind of take it back to like the world of work. And why also this version of WoW is surprisingly effective for me, because you basically can choose for the most part everything you want. But I end up choosing kind of the same stuff too, the things that I know work for me, and the way that I want to approach stuff. It's like necessity is the mother of invention. People tend to get creative with limited stuff, and I'm like that. And so, I don't know. I just wanted to talk that out loud while thinking about it. Is the oven still on? No, it's off. It's just hot. I'm going to come back later and reheat those potatoes so they'll be even drier and crispier. At some point during the week, I guess I'll have to wash my dishes too. For now, have fun.